Representative Dean.
Here we go. Pardon me while I adjust. My microphone is not working. Thank you, Chairman Mast, Ranking Member Meeks for holding this hearing. Thank you, Undersecretary Rogers, for testifying before us today. I want you to know that I'm a former college professor. I've seen firsthand the power of international exchange programs, both for students as people growing for their cultural understanding, personal growth, professional development, but also for our country. These programs strengthen our support around the world, building generations of leaders that appreciate and trust the United States. I'm deeply concerned by this administration's deprioritization of these programs and delays in distributing the grants, despite bipartisan congressional support. Last year, Congresswoman Shelley Pingree and I led a letter to the Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs about payment freezes. I believe this issue has been resolved, but I have also learned about the concerning trend of the Office of Management and Budget preventing program awards from being completed. I ask you, Undersecretary, to please provide a full report to this committee, as well as to the Appropriations Committee, where it is reasonably under our jurisdiction, to ensure that these grants will be processed for FY26 expeditiously. Will you do that?
Yes, thank you, Congresswoman. We will provide whatever transparency the committee wants, and I was confirmed in October, and I believe that some of these programs that were stalled are now coming back online.
And I do appreciate that. And I appreciate your service, and I appreciate that you are new in this role. Speaking of diplomacy and disinformation and propaganda, here we are at war with Iran. What happened to diplomacy? For me as a member of Congress, for me as a United States citizen, how I had hoped that our Secretary of State, not Mr. Witkoff, not Mr. Kushner, they could have been supportive in the diplomacy. But how is it that this administration cut off diplomatic conversations around what to do next in Iran, and instead the president went on a feeling. As the Secretary of State said the day before, we went to war with Iran because we knew that Israel was going to go to war with Iran. And here we are with 50,000 troops in the region, and we're following Israel into that? I don't think that is, the use of diplomacy. War should be the last resort. Diplomacy should be before that. We didn't exhaust that. And so, sadly, this administration can't get its act together on what was the imminent threat, what's the purpose of this war, and what's the outcome. I just want to read into the record the names of the 6 deceased members of our military who died in the very first day of this war of choice by President Trump. Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amor, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens, Sergeant Declan Cody, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, Chief Warrant Officer Robert Merzan. They are gone, day one, without any explanation to Congress. I can take that personally under Article 1, Section 8, but without any convincing of the American people that we would spend billions of dollars and blood and treasure. Talk about disinformation, failure of diplomacy, propaganda put forward. Will you go back to the Secretary of State and convey to him that A, he should have been the one negotiating this, and that B, they need to get a clear idea of how we get out of this mess, because the war is ever broadening, and we failed to use diplomatic tools. We are continuing to fail to use them. Will you go back and take that message to the Secretary of State and to the President?
I'm always happy to convey the committee's feedback to the State Department leadership as appropriate, but Congresswoman, I have a slightly different recollection of those events than you do. President Trump is one of the greatest deal makers alive, and as we know,
This isn't
deals
deals.
aren't
This is not about Middle East
negotiations,
deals.
life and
That's
death
the problem.
negotiations over whether a regime whose motto is death to America can have a nuclear weapon. Those life and death negotiations
So
are
you've
not just
decided
a
it was about
science;
nuclear
they're an
weapons.
art. And I trust the judgment of this
I know
president,
you're new,
and
but
I
the rules of
trust
the
the
road are
judgment
that
of
I
my
get to
boss,
claim my time.
Secretary of State.
You're new here. I get that. But you cannot just talk over us. These are our 5 minutes. You are here to answer questions, and I am able to cut you off.
If you're cutting me off, or do you want to cut me off, or do you want me to answer?
Well, you answered falsely. You
No,
decided the
no,
war.
that's
Representative
an accusation
Davidson
of perjury, and I
of
didn't do
Ohio
that.
is recognized.
Decided it was about nuclear,
Representative
not
Davidson
what the president
I
of
said.
quoted
Ohio.
the president. That is what the
Chairman, I
president
thank
said.
you.
Recognized.
I yield back.